Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Game of the Year. I don't know if it's actually Game of the Year, but it's my Game of the Year until now. Until Victoria 3 comes out, I guess. If it's good, And last time we broke Himitsu because we found out that her dad had been spying on us and our family for all this time. And he said something about her doing it too. We apparently didn't believe her. I didn't have a choice. When she said that she hadn't. Then she got very, very angry, sad, and I guess she just broke the fuck down. So let's see what's going on. I'm sad now. Poor Himitsu. Poor me. Are you okay? Has always seemed like a weird and unnatural question to me. Especially in American movies, when characters might get his arm ripped off and his partner, with an expression of genuine concern on his face, would wonder whether that character was doing okay. Couldn't be better. God damn it. Oh, sorry. But thinking about it, what does okay mean in our lives anyway? You can only define it relatively. For instance, if I had my arm ripped off, it at least wouldn't be my head. So compared to the worst possible situation, I'd be relatively okay. Yesterday I lost to Mitsu, but at least I was still alive. So in comparison with the worst situation, I was doing okay. No, I don't agree with that. Some things is worse than death. Although, who needs an okay like this? I had fallen asleep pretty late, around 4 in the morning, but was woken up by the usual sounds of cooking in the kitchen. Was Himitsu cooking breakfast after everything that happened the day before? I quickly got dressed and ran out of my room, but the person standing in the stove was... Huh? What? Bruh? Wait, hey! What? No! Wait, what? Nah, bruh? Good morning. I was about to wake you up. How did she get in? How the fuck did she get in? I didn't think she had a key. What the shit is going on? But okay. How did you get in here? Hey, he asked the same thing. I asked gloomingly and leaned heavily against the door frame. Come on now. Is that how you're going to start such a wonderful day? It certainly wasn't wonderful for me, and Catherine's preference didn't change that in the slightest. How did you get in? I've been to your place more than once, remember? Nothing has changed since then. Indeed, sneaking into the garden from the street wasn't difficult, and neither was opening the door to the kitchen if one knew how to. Catch it. Maybe I should have been worried about burglars, but I had nothing valuable in the house, and I didn't look very interesting from outside. What if I call the police? Go ahead. Would be a good idea after yesterday's slaughter. She smirked, stirring something in the pan. What slaughter? I asked, generally in surprise. Don't worry, I've already cleaned away the shards. It's just... what are we supposed to eat off now? Wait. Did she... Oh my god. I have a theory here, right? Maybe I'm just paranoid. I don't know. So, I think she's been stalking too. Maybe she's been spying. Just like Himitsu, right? And Himitsu, because she got exposed, did those things. And now Catherine, who saw it, or something like that, the American spy, instead of the Japanese, is now taking the spot? I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. But okay. Well, there was no getting out of this. I don't want to talk about it. Of course you don't. Oh. She smirked slyly. By the way, I didn't know you could cook. I tried to change the subject. Just because I never cooked before? Well, naturally. Well, I couldn't, but I learned how to over the past year. When you're on your own for a while, even pizza gets stalled. Yeah, I can attest to that. Everything gets stalled for this if you just eat it enough. Perhaps I would have learned how to cook as well if you weren't around all the time. So you came, broke into my house, even at an ungodly hour, solely to show off your cooking skills? Well, we've known each other for a while. I know you're having a hard time. Ah, fuck. I'm such a bad gamer. As if you care. Of course I do. We're friends, aren't we? Katja seemed sincere, but I still couldn't believe her words, so I decided to change the subject a bit. What if Mitsu came now? Will she? Catherine smiled opaquely. After yesterday's... What is this about you? Whatever. I didn't want to talk about this, especially with her, so I just sat silently and waited. The meal I eventually received, something resembling a stew, tasted pretty good and felt much more Western than what I was used to eating. But you could make this sort of thing in half an hour. When exactly had Catherine arrived? Yeah, and she also cleans. It's good, I said, trying to make it sound as if I were merely being polite. Not any worse than your mitzvahs? Why are you starting this all over again? What's wrong with what I said? Nothing. You don't want to talk about her? I don't, I snarled. What trouble in paradise? You two had a fight? Honestly, it's none of your business. I looked at Katja and felt nothing. Yes, I was happy for the tasty breakfast and in fact that she had come over. But on the other hand, I would have felt just as comfortable alone. But she's stalking, so it's fine. A little stalker. Stalky, make stalk. Okay, so... all these things seems quite weird, but okay, I guess maybe it's just the harem, I guess. Maybe not. Sorry, I'm trying to open a can here. And it's difficult when you have 0 nails. I ripped them off yesterday, I got it open. It's a Rockstar something. I haven't tried it, so now I'm seeing if it's good. It's decent. Oh, the aftertaste. I don't like the aftertaste. Oh, okay. Or maybe it's just because I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, I think it's more because I wasn't expecting it. It was different from what I had expected. Let me say that. Okay, it's decent. Well, as you wish. You don't need to tell me, but I will find out anyway. Oh. From your mom and her spy network? Catherine pulled a long face and stared at her plate. It doesn't feel nice when somebody hits your sore spot, does it? Why do you think it's a sore spot for me? I think we've already discussed it and figured everything out. After the real truth about Himitsu's father and the KGB's ultimatum, the whole situation with her mom seemed, if not a stupid misunderstanding, then merely a trifle. Well, then I understand why you're here even less. And don't tell me that you're just worried about me, for God's sake. Fine, I won't. But what if that's true? I gave Katja a look under my brows. They looked and behaved absolutely normal. Maybe a little bit more polite, which in her case mostly meant less sarcastic. If that's true, thank you. You don't sound sincere. I don't know what to tell you. I wondered what would happen if Himitsu actually came. Look, thank you for breakfast then. You're kicking me out? He interrupted me flatly. I just need to get ready for school. I can help. I'll handle it. Okay, I'll do the dishes. No need, leave them. Don't you think it's at very least rude to kick me out after I've been stuck at the stove for 2 hours? Okay. Catherine frowned and finally looked like herself. Do what you want. I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. Then I changed into school uniform and returned to the kitchen. Catherine was sitting in her old seat, looking out into the garden with a bored expression on her face. What the fuck? Thank you, Rockstar, I guess. The dirty dishes were where I had left them. Didn't you want to do the dishes? And you said I didn't need to. I see. There we go. She rose gracefully from her chair and walked to the hallway. I was definitely afraid that Himitsu would see us together, but I couldn't just push her out of the house. She obviously wasn't going to leave alone. Looking for something? Catherine asked snittily, seeing me cautiously look around. The meaning of life. Let's go already. I couldn't even remember the last time we walked to school like this. He had stayed at my place overnight before, when my parents weren't home, but it only happened once or twice. Bring back memories? What does? All this. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Katja made a period, the husker dancing along flirtatiously. Is she actually trying to... I guess she is. Although you must have fallen out of habit. Apparently so. I replied briefly in order to avoid continuing this conversation and sink it deeper into the past. Not much has changed over the years. Catherine was constantly looking around. Was it supposed to? It's only been a year and a half. I finished with a bit of a strain. In odd times, everything changes at the speed of thought, you know. Why are you doing this? I just thought it sounded nice. No, I mean, why did you come in this morning and cook breakfast? I can't believe it's just because you care about me. I think you need something from me. What could I possibly need from you? Catherine stopped and looked me in the eyes with a cute smile on her face. I don't know. I don't want to play this game. Well, don't then. Myself, I find them very funny. Okay. She immediately turned around and walked a couple steps ahead of me. So you're not even going to try and deny it, are you? As nasty as it felt to acknowledge it, this punitive honesty was appealing to me, even a bit arousing. Deny what? Catherine said without turning around. We approached the school, and I noticed Michael in the distance. So did Katja. Did you note that Michael likes me? He asked, seemingly casually. What? I think he and I would find at least a couple things to talk about. How do you know? Did he... No, we haven't even talked yet. It's just easy to see. I noticed it right away. Feminine intuition. Katja added flirtatiously. I see. My voice sounded way too unhappy and deep inside. I scolded myself for that. So, I'm thinking about what to do with that. What do you think? Bro, that's why she came, isn't it? Just the reason Michael also came. To hear if it's okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Is she stalking me? Is she fucking... This game. I like it. It's good shit. But you aren't interested at all? Perhaps you could give me a piece of friendly advice. It's none of my business. Isn't it? She gave me a sly smile and approached a group of girls I didn't know. Though she did have friends, or at least acquaintances. I didn't know whether Michael noticed us or not, but I had no desire to talk to him, so I slowed down waiting until he entered the school building. Catherine showed up in the classroom right before the bell and sat down behind her desk, paying no attention to me. What did she want from me in the end? What was with that performance? Maybe it was some strange sort of revenge. It was hard to for me to think about that at the moment, especially with my fight with Himitsu and the whole spy business as the backdrop. Catherine definitely had no intention of leaving me alone, which was beginning to irritate me. God, how quickly can a man's feelings change? Only a couple of weeks ago, I could only dream about spending this much time with her. And now, I would rather see she left me alone, although I was afraid to admit that even to myself. Coming up with stupid excuses like, I have more important things to deal with now. During the break, Michael approached me. His look implying we were going to have a serious conversation. Hey, how are you have you got a minute? For you? Always. I tried to preemptively shield myself with sarcasm. I really don't want to start it over again, but you leave it with no choice. Today you and Catherine came to school together. So he noticed us back then. Yeah, so what? Did you just happen to meet on the way, or what? Tell me. You know what I mean. Bruh. Bruh. Now it's an epic fight! Or something. He averted his eyes for a moment, but then looked at me again with the same confidence. You just need to tell me the truth, and I won't come between you two or ruin your relationship. Our relationship? I smirked. Why don't you ask her first whether we're in any kind of relationship? It looks different from the outside. How did he always manage to remain so composed and say all this as the calm, even tone? I don't care how it looks to anyone. We're not going to get anywhere like this. I'm not going anywhere. I feel pretty alright here. I said a bit louder than I was. Then I should have attracted the attention of students sitting next to us. What do you need from me? And then, to tell the truth, are you together or not? He clearly didn't understand or want to understand the hints that there was nothing between us. I was so fed up with this, with all this. So why couldn't I say it out loud? It often happens. You don't do what you need to. Because of that, you start hating yourself and get depressed. In turn, depression obstructs you from doing what you need to do. A vicious cycle. Anyway, this explanation sounded much better than the thought that I still wasn't able to reject Catherine completely. What if we are? Are you going to turn away and leave pretending nothing happened? If you like a girl, why the hell do you need my opinion? Afraid to hurt my feelings? Come on. You're just being hypocritical. You want to make yourself look good so that nobody will think badly of you, no matter the outcome. And I still can't understand. What do you want to hear from me? Am I interested in her? Only sexually, I assure you. Wanna be whole, brothers? Be my guest. I stopped for a moment to catch my breath and only then realized that the class was gravely silent and everyone was looking at me. Catherine quickly stood up, packed up her bag and left. Accumulated stress will always find a way out, one way or another. There was nothing surprising about that, but I picked the least appropriate moment possible. Least appropriate. Michael, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm the person you should apologize to, he said coldly and returned to his desk. I ran out of the classroom and rushed down the stairs. But Catherine was neither at the lockers nor in the yard. She could be hiding somewhere at school. I'd left already. Anyway, I couldn't find her. An awful thought flashed through my mind that she deserved it because of her behavior today. But what did she do wrong exactly? Make a tasty stew? Or merely return to my life? Actually, she didn't do anything wrong. Ah, yeah, she did. She broke into my house, which is kind of creepy. The bell for class reached me at the school gate. I was just standing there, trying to figure out how it had come to this. How could my life instantly turn into a play by an amateur Broadway scriptwriter? Why was this happening to me alone, while other people were living their lives normally? Kyosuke, Sayajan, even Michael. I was just jammed to return to the classroom, but the idea of being alone with myself enticed me even less. Besides, mean looks and whispers behind my back would be wonderful punishment for me. Lowering my head and mumbling, something that sounded like an excuse, I entered the classroom and sat behind my desk. I couldn't say how my classmates reacted to me showing up, as I instantly stared into my notebook and tried to concentrate on the teacher's words. It's a great piece of advice. When you feel down, you should concentrate and work. Get distracted, so to say. Yeah, right. I don't know a single person who that actually worked for. How could someone simply silence every thought about the things that constitute the very essence of their existence? Himitsu, Catherine, the truth about my parents' death. That was my entire life. If I were to forget, delete it, scrub it away with rubber like a typo in in dictation, what would be left? Yeah, I had no job, and the closest to it was school. But could abstract logarithms, abstract logarithms, integrals, and biographies of long-dead public figures become more important to me than real problems and real people? Nah, fuck school. That's my motto. I'll let it. No. Classes had ended a long time ago, and I was just sitting alone in the empty classroom, not thinking about anything in particular. I was too tired of everything, just couldn't concentrate on anything, and I had no desire to go somewhere and do something. Without students, the school became quiet, and still, in this silence, the sound of steps coming from the corridor sounded sinister, as if a mortician or plague doctor were coming for me. The sound was getting louder, but remained monotonous, and every step was accompanied by dull creaking. Someone massive was approaching. The door opened slowly, and I was ready for anything to come in, holding my breath. But it was just Kyosuke. Still here? He asked in an unusually serious voice. Don't scare me like that, I exclaimed. What did I do? You're walking, like death itself. Nick, you have your ruckus. He came closer and sat behind the desk next to mine. I didn't want to come back at first, but then I thought you could use someone to talk to. About what? You think I'm a complete idiot and haven't noticed anything. Even if that were the case, you told the entire class about your problems today. I don't have any. Michael doesn't know when to stop. I don't think it's about him. Or not only about him. Maybe. What do you want from me? I'm just fed up with this situation. All these misunderstandings and omissions. Catherine and I are just friends. Catching Kyosuke's admonishing look, I specified. At the very least, we're not lovers. Then I really don't understand why you're being so stubborn. You always have Himitsu-chan. Always? I smirked sadly and gave him a look of contempt. It's not a game, you know. Not some A or B choice. You sure? Maybe it's actually that easy, and you just need to choose. What if he was right and I was wrong? He is! It's a game! A and B choice. But let's look away from that. I think it would still be right. Like, I think he would have to actually choose one. And I want him to do it. But in this situation, let me ask. In this situation, would it be as easy for you in real life when you're the person that happens to, especially with all the other stuff? How could his mind work properly with all this shit going on? I don't know. Well, making a choice naturally wasn't easy, but it was definitely the right thing to do. And by avoiding giving Michael a straight answer, I was postponing my choice as hard as I could. What do you know? But I definitely couldn't confess that to Kyosuke. Sometimes, you should just look at the situation objectively, impartially. Hello. Who are you, and where is Kyosuke? I shook him by the shoulders. Seriously, objectively and partially? How do even you imagine that? I'm just giving you a bit of advice. That's the easiest thing to do. He finally smiled. I think Kyosuke is actually a pretty nice guy. I think he's getting more shit than he should. I think he's... I don't know. Ain't that right? Anyway, you could use a distraction. Wanna go to an arcade? Yeah, let's go. Thank you, Kyosuke. You always got my back. Even if Kyosuke was right, it's not like I didn't know as much myself. But knowing what's right and proper doesn't then make your decision any easier. We left the arcade when it was already dark. Alright, so what's your advice?
In Galaxian, first try to shoot the ones on the sides and make free zones.
No, damn it.
Well, about that, you're probably asking the wrong person.
He scratched the back of his head and smiled sadly. I'm not asking for love advice. Just tell me what you would do if you were me. I really need an objective opinion, so to say. You said it yourself.
Well, I would choose Himitsu-chan.
Kyosuke replied without any hesitation. Somehow, I thought that he would try to deny it and hesitate for a while. Really? You're unusually decisive today. I guess arcades do some good after all.
What does it have to do with arcades? I've always been on their side.
Really? I don't remember you ever telling me that.
Have you ever asked?
True enough. Kyosuke, with his voracious passion for 2D, always seems like the last person to talk about real girls. Never mind. So why do you think that?
I don't know. Catherine's not that well, as you're aware, but I'm quite familiar with Himitsu, and I know about the things she's done and keeps doing for you.
Is this your way of trying to shame me?
No, I'm just stating facts. Am I wrong?
Wrong in what sense? Are we going to measure the things she has done for me in kilograms or kilometers?
Oh, goddammit. In feet. Nick, why can't you just agree with something when it's true?
I'm not saying you're wrong, just...
Then why do you always need these clarifications and clauses?
Maybe because this way I feel less guilty. You know, life isn't all black and white like in your manga.
You think I don't understand that? At least you have someone to choose from.
It was hard for me to continue this conversation, and I really didn't want to upset Kyosuke. He keeps upsetting Kyosuke. And I feel bad for Kyosuke. Kyosuke always just try to be there, be nice. And sometimes we're like, nah, fuck off Kyosuke, fat fuck. Then I'm like, aw, poor Kyosuke, you fat fuck. To him, all my problems seems to just be romantic ones, since he didn't even know a fraction of the truth. Yeah, exactly. He only knows what he's seen, and you said, and you haven't said much. And he's only seen the romantic ones. That's what he can talk about. And also, it seems for me, as a guy that's inside your fucking head, that's your biggest problem. And not problem, but your biggest worry. And then, at number 2, it's all the stalking shit. Where for me, I think I would be much more worried about the stalking shit. And then number 2 would be the romantic stuff. I wondered how I would have acted if he was right. If my parents hadn't been killed but really died in a car accident, if Himitsu's father hadn't been spying on me, and Catherine's mother was just a diplomat. In his view, that's what my life was. And 1.5 years ago, that was exactly the case, and I chose Catherine without hesitation back then. Well, I guess that's enough for today. See you. And you know what? You can't blame Kyosuke for it. He's just trying to be a good friend. I stretched my hand out to him.
Will you come to school tomorrow?
I will. We said a warm goodbye and headed home. I just broke my neck. The lights were on in my house. I froze thinking that Himitsu could be there and tried to hold back the warm feeling in my chest. I slowly entered the yard and opened the front door with my key. However, I didn't find her shoes in the hall. I didn't even know why I paid attention to that, but my heart skipped a beat. She could have come to me wearing slippers, could she? Trying not to make any noise, I sneaked into the kitchen. You again? Catherine looked at me idly and recrossed her legs. I see you were expecting someone else. It's more like I wasn't expecting to see you. Sorry, I decided not to cook dinner since you didn't seem to enjoy breakfast. She smirked and fidgeted with the fork in a box of instant noodles before her. Still not a fan of chopsticks? I was wondering if you'd come alone or not. What does that have to do with anything? I was about to get angry, but immediately remembered my behavior at school and felt dejected. Look, I'm sorry for everything I said today. That's not what I really think. Oh, of course it isn't. It isn't. I understand you're having a rough time and getting a little jumpy. He doesn't seem like herself. That's the thing. And I'm not sure if she's actually genuine, or if it's just because I fucked it up with Himitsu and now they want something else to watch over me. And oh my god. This is difficult. This is really difficult. But it's the thing that's it's part of the thing that makes this game so good. She didn't say anything that wasn't normal for her. I think she did, but okay. But okay, I didn't. I wasn't with her. I only know from when she came back. I don't know what happens before and all that shit. So yeah, it's probably just me that's a retard. But this time it really got to me. But why have you come then? Especially after what I've done. Did you think I would hide in the deepest hole I could find, cry, pity myself and curse you? Maybe it would even be appropriate considering the situation. But why would I do that? So instead you decided to come here? That's definitely the more logical move. I approached the fridge, opening it, but found nothing and just poured some tap water into a glass. It's not about me at all. What is it about then? Himitsu. What about her? I grew cautious instantly. I heard my mom talking on the phone. Katja smiled, but was very clearly fidgeting in her chair. Himitsu's father works for Japanese intelligence and spies on you. Yeah, I knew it. He is taking over for Himitsu. Okay. You'll keep a tab on me all the time. Of course it's the Americans and Japanese that's inside the house, right? But I guess it's better than the KGB, isn't it? Oh wait, maybe. I don't know. I guess it's better than the KGB. I wanted to tell you in the morning, but couldn't find the courage. Are you going to say anything? I kept looking at her expectantly, but a bit vacantly at the same time. I'm wondering where your sarcasm goes when you start talking about serious things. Do you know that chameleons can't change hue in their sleep and always remain the same color? Nick, I'm serious. Then maybe you'll tell me something I don't know already. So you... She stood up and came closer. How can you talk with her after that? Don't worry, we no longer talk. For now at least. How long have you known? For some time, I replied evasively. So it turned out that Catherine came and told me everything herself, unlike Himitsu, who confessed only when I forced her to. And this made the burden on my heart even heavier. That's actually true. Holy shit, this game keeps making it more and more difficult. But at the same time, Himitsu. I actually believe Himitsu. I'm not sure if Nikolai do, but I do. And the KGB scares me. I don't want that. If I said no, would they have killed me? I couldn't even say no. I was forced to. And this made the burden on my heart even heavier. That's just like you. What exactly? That I trust the only person close to me who's ever betrayed me before? Who's never? That's what you think. She whispered, but I paid no attention and kept attacking her. It's so weird that I'm looking for support from anyone at all when I'm besieged on all sides, isn't it? By Himitsu and you and others. I wasn't shouting, but Catherine looked frightened. That's so strange for normal people. Is that what you think? Any normal person would have long offed himself in my place. Or tell me what I gotta do, and I'll do it. And what are you accusing Himitsu of? Do you think she works for Japanese intelligence? It just so happened the stars aligned like this. Everything in my life is fucked by default. So what's so surprising about that? Katja was quiet, but after these words straightened up and seemed to become as tall as me. You fucked it all up again, Nick. First you lost me, and now apparently her. And what do you blame? The stars. What? Her words surprised me so much I staggered back and hit the sink behind me. What did I do wrong? You always blame everyone else. Me, Himitsu, others. What others? There's only two of us here, and Himitsu is in the house across the street. You know full well you aren't my only problem. I turned away to avoid looking her in the eye. And you will never find a solution if you keep waving everyone away. I am such an idiot to have come here, to think that you could still be helped. And now even when someone spits in your eye, you just say it's rain. But I must say, you two deserve each other. I felt a strong need to say something, come up with an objection, but I had no strength. It felt as if her words had drained the last bits of my will to live. Damn, Nikolai, I know that feeling. I just don't know what to do. I noticed as much. I'm so tired of this game, playing emotional ping pong. You become sarcastic, I retaliate, I snap at you, and you get pissed. Catherine didn't respond, but clearly grew embarrassed. Well, I guess it's my turn to say, that's life. But everything could be different. And just this very morning, I was absolutely sure that I had no feelings for her. And now, I didn't know. Of course, but it's not. And looking for someone to blame won't do any good. I'm not looking for anyone to blame, but thanks for telling me. Did your mom tell you anything else? No, nothing else. She replied after a short pause. But I'd say this is already more than enough. In any case, I told you what I wanted to, and I have nothing else to say, which means that I have nothing to do here. So long. I saw her to the door. If something happens, you know where to find me. She said as a farewell. Why did she need to say that? To leave me with a foolish hope or to keep me on short leash? I don't know. I looked out onto the streets and spent a long time staring at the light in Himitsu's room. Catherine didn't tell me anything new, but brought unbelievable pain with her stupid, unnecessary, inappropriate honesty. And why was she so willing to tell me everything except for what really mattered? I watched TV until late in the night, trying to rid of the thoughts of ditching everything and joining a monastery. The 21st of September, 1978. 87. 78. Oh no. We gone back in time. Why do different people like different colors? Royd and Lucia most definitely had their opinions on that, but I almost struggled to make a clear choice. Sometimes my favorite color could be blue or violet. I used to hate yellow, and my childhood preference was white. Of course, there are strictly scientific explanations for the matter, but in everyday life we are used to more basic interpretations. Red symbolizes the unbridled fervor of fire. Blue epitomizes the serenity of the clear summer sky, while it's been in the wrong pipe. Black reminds us of the dusty shrouds and gloomy walls of a Gothic church. Sorry boys, I'm dying here. I have bigger problems than Nikolai right now. I need to drink some juice. Apple juice. Oh, that helped. Oh, sorry boys, I'm dying here. I wasn't sure which colors I would associate with Catherine and Himitsu, but in my memories the smiles used to be the same palette. The sound of the TV woke me up, and with some effort I blew my nose, and the night wind had made it pretty stuffy. Due to the uncomfortable positioning, my back hurt, making the awakening even less enjoyable. Wait. Why is there a sound of TV? I don't get Shit, Dad. On the screen, chipper and overly smiley news anchors were wishing a good morning to all its inhabitants in Tokyo. They had it easier, of course. These programs are usually pre-recorded, and now they were peacefully sleeping in their cozy beds. Right after the fake smiles and tons of face powder came a cooking show. Spend just 5 minutes and make yourself happy with a tasty, healthy breakfast. A professional chef with more than 20 years of experience was shouting, skillfully filleting fish and slicing vegetables. Yeah, right. I wouldn't be able to cook anything like that, even in 3 hours, with or without all the ingredients. Although a dead mouse, a couple dozen cockroaches, and some soy sauce would make for an undoubtedly higher protein, though probably not as tasty meal than the one prepared for by the TV chef. Having weighed up all the cons and failed to find any pros, I got dressed and walked to school. Wait, so did they have TVs where it just turned on in the morning of themselves? That's weird. Or did he just not turn it off at night? I'm confused. I had no desire to skip classes since I had nothing else to do in the morning. By skipping breakfast, I managed to find some time to drop by a shop and buy a couple chocolate bars. I wanted to go to my favorite ramen place as well, but after counting the money in my wallet, I abandoned the idea. And I still had a week before the end of the month. At school, everything seemed normal, joyful and enthusiastic. Kyosuke and Michael with his book. Joyful and enthusiastic Kyosuke, Michael with his book, and Catherine, who was expressively ignoring my presence. Oh yeah, he used all his money on the taxi. To go see Himitsu. Oh wait, no, that was last... Oh yeah, that was... Yeah, he did. So now I can't get food. Haha! Everyone seemed to have forgotten about my behavior yesterday. Or were merely pretended to, keeping up appearances. In any case, I didn't feel like an exile. No more than usual. Not that anybody ever paid much attention to me. I had to admit, I was a little scared of the derogatory looks and whispers behind my back on my way to school. But life went on as usual, not noticing me and my problems. During the second class, a note landed on my desk. Come to the roof at lunch. It was written in Japanese. The handwriting looked familiar, but it definitely wasn't Katya's. I was even kind of happy to receive the note since I was starting to get bored. So this is a thing too, huh? Now the absence of adrenaline equals boredom to me. Adrenaline junkie, I see. During the long break, I went to the roof, waving Kyosuke away as he offered to have lunch together. However, there was nobody there. Apparently, I was too early. I was what I thought, as I sat on the bench preparing to wait for the order of the note. The door soon opened, and Kagome jumped into the arms of the unfriendly autumn wind. Well, yeah, I should have expected that, I muttered. What are you mumbling there? Kagome asked in an intimidating tone, coming closer. I want to clarify something, just in case. Did you write the note? Yes. He replied briefly and sat next to me. Right. I realized why the handwriting looked familiar to me. Kagome was the class rep and would constantly write things on the blackboard. We seem to be meeting each other a bit too often these days. You're in no position to make jokes. What else can I do? You're in danger, don't you understand? In danger? I've managed to uncover something else. The father of your red-headed girlfriend works for Japanese intelligence, and he may be somehow related to my father's disappearance. How do everyone know now? I figured out the day after. Everything went to shit. The day after that, even more shit. And then the day after that, no one tells me what I already just figured out. And then the day after that, another person tells me. What the actual fuck? God damn it, does everyone actually know more than I do about my own life? I exclaimed and flung my arms into the air. Doesn't seem like it's news to you. She squinted her eyes, but I immediately asked a question. How did you learn that? I have my own sources. Kagome responded unsurely, turned away and shivered from the strong wind. Here. I stood up, took my jacket off and tried to put it over her shoulders.
What are you doing?
He immediately jumped up from the bench and ran a few feet away. Let's just try to act like a gentleman. You should trust me. I mean, you told me so much important information already. Kakome calmed down a bit and didn't come closer.
It's because I still hope that you're a reasonable guy. Besides, you're in a similar situation, so I want to believe that you'll act reasonably. I have to say, though, that so far, you've been as useful as a dug-up corpse.
A corpse. Thank you, Kakome. Cling! But how do I know she's not also in the... Oh no, her dad got fucked. She might not be in intelligence. Actually, I am at the point where I don't believe because I'm still a little doubtful, but I think it might be the only person I can trust is Kakome. And the reason she don't really trust me is because she's not even sure if she can trust me. I might be some Russian spy or something, for all she knows, right? Well, I'm sorry for not knowing anything else. And at this point, it was mostly the truth. And why do you think I should blindly trust you?
Because I have no reason to lie to you. I'm just looking for my father.
I didn't reply, but her words made me feel guilty. After all, Kakome, despite her rather complicated personality, had opened up to me and relied on me to some extent. You're right, sorry. Is there anything else you know? And how do you even know about Himitsu's father?
I've told you enough already, and you seem completely unsurprised by it.
I'm just tired of surprises. I smiled idiotically. I would like to know more about your sources.
Tit for tat.
I have nothing to offer in return. It's not like this is a card game. If you were me, wouldn't you want to know everything?
Are you sure it's easier to be you than me?
No, but that doesn't change anything.
Unlike you, I'm trying to do something. I've already told you everything I know, and how I found out isn't important. Just for your information, a one-sided relationship like this can't last long.
Oh, so we have a relationship now.
Asshole.
Kakome hissed, and I was left alone. I seem to remember that Himitsu once said I should change my attitude towards other people. And even though I started to behave differently with her, and maybe to some extent with Catherine, others remained as little interest to me as of before. But Iwamura could become a useful ally. Yeah. Next time, if there was a next time, I'd have to treat her with more respect. I came across Michael at the entrance to the classroom. He looked at me coldly, but said nothing. It's not like he had to say anything. No one would show it openly, but everyone, except probably Kyosuke, considered me a social pariah. Maybe I'd just become a persona non grata, since I'd never never really tried to change my caste, deeming it possible. There was absolutely no way I could keep being in their company. I quickly packed my bag, and with my eyes lowered, walked out of the classroom. The bell reached me in the schoolyard, and deep inside I felt sad and for some reason even disgusted. I guess I had never really given thought to the fact that on weekday afternoons the streets were populated by totally different people than in the evenings. Children and teenagers were studying while adults were mostly at work. But pensioners of all ages, mothers with the strollers, all kinds of couriers and delivery boys crawled out of their homes between 9 and 6 o'clock to enjoy the still warm autumn sun. Soon they would be replaced by office workers in their identical grey suits, children who couldn't wait to have some fun, and exhausted factory workers. But for now, Tokyo belonged fully to that nice, motley crowd. I slowed down to catch a few more smiles from strangers passing by. They had a calming effect on me. In the end, some people were capable of not only drowning in their problems, but also bringing some happiness in the world, sharing their good mood with others. Even if in reality things were very different, and it was just a sign of politeness. I came home, kicked off my boots, and walked into the kitchen. The show was still on, showing a program for housewives. Household Secrets. Himitsu probably watched it often. At first, I thought the ring of the doorbell was part of the show, but I quickly realized that wasn't the case and opened the door. Ryanuska-san was standing at my doorstep. Oh no. Bruh! Fuck off. Fuck off, you fucking bitch. Physically fit and focused as always, with a cold look in his eyes and abrupt military precise gestures. How come? I never figured out he wasn't a simple government employer. Wait, employer? Okay. Ryanuska-san. I greeted him briefly and slightly lowered my head.
May I come in?
Sure. I walked into the kitchen and offered a chair.
Nikolai, I respect you. I'm not going to pretend or put on an act here. I think you have a long realized what's going on. You've become very interesting to the KGB lately. That explains a lot.
I froze in place. I hoped he didn't know I had eavesdropped on him in the village.
I'm not aware how much you know, but it's your best interest to tell me everything here now.
What I know? Thank you, Ryonosuke. That was actually exactly what I thought last time. Going to the Japanese intelligence and or Americans and try to ask for protection from the KGB would be good. And now? Yeah, I think. I said quietly. But this was the person I'd known half my life. Not only had he been lying abjectly to my parents and me for so many years, he'd also managed to drag his own daughter into this. Oh, I know enough. Let me tell you a story. About a nice neighbor who pretends to be a family friend about how he is willing, without hesitation, to betray anyone on command. For him, the ends justify any means, and there are no moral boundaries. He'll even use his own daughter to accomplish his goals. Any means, right, Ryonosuke-san? Am I right? I snapped, but I couldn't feel any particular danger coming from him. I was, at least to a degree, confident he hadn't come to kill me.
That's your point of view. You are entitled to it. But there are many others. However, Nikolai, you should calm down. That would be better for everyone.
His impenetrable seriousness was more frightening than all of Irina's words combined. Is that a threat?
But now it's a warning. I hope I'm not mistaken about you, and I won't need to deploy methods that are more appropriate for stupid scum.
His arrogance stung. There was something of Japanese militarism in him. And still, I was scared and simply couldn't hide it.
Nikolai, I want to help you, no matter how crazy that may sound to you. I have helped you before. Over many years I've been doing things that go beyond the scope of my responsibilities. And even things that violated direct orders.
He added in a quieter voice.
I have done things you haven't had a clue about.
Are you talking about my parents? I smirked.
Believe me, I have nothing to do with what happened to them.
Of course you don't. Oh, he looks sad now.
I realize that you have no reason to trust me, but this is a dangerous game you're playing. I'll bite against your will. You must have realized already that there are many players in this game. So, I will say once again, I have nothing to do with your parents' death.
Mitsu's father seemed to speak genuinely, but I caught myself thinking that during the entire conversation his facial expression had barely changed. Doesn't matter what I think, right? Then why did you come here at all? Finally he knitted his brow and said quietly,
I need to know everything you know.
If I knew something, I'd gladly tell you. You have my word. I'm so fucking fed up with your game. I slapped my neck with my palm, showing him how fed up I was exactly. So I had a chance to do something that would make you all leave me be.
I believe you, Nikolai.
He interrupted me and suddenly smiled. And that's it?
Yes, is there anything else you want to discuss?
What happens now?
To you? I don't know. However, you must realize that after everything that happened, you better keep away from my daughter.
How? But I mumbled impotently.
Be well.
Why? Why? Ryonosuke-san stood up and left. When the door closed behind him, I sank in exhaustedly into the chair. Of course, arguing with him would have been pointless and risky, and besides, what could I say? It's not like Himitsu wanted to see me. But that was only for now. In the end, she'd definitely come, wouldn't she? And what did he mean by I don't know? That I didn't have to fear Japanese intelligence anymore? Or that everything was over for me? No. If that were the case, he would have warned me about Himitsu. What? He wouldn't have warned. Okay. I was shattered, crushed, and most importantly, humiliated. For the first time. Garena could threaten me all she wanted, but she didn't have any aces up her sleeve. Ryunosuke-san had Himitsu, and he played his card brilliantly, breaking my will and bringing me to his knees in a couple of minutes. If I had anything to tell them, I would have done it immediately without hesitation. Chinose. It didn't seem like they were really interested in him. No, you did have something to tell. You could have said, "Hey bro, the KGB wants me to spy for them and I really don't want to, but they're threatening to kill me, so please help me. Please keep me safe, Mom." And he would be like, "Oh no, that sounds very bad." My conversations with Yarina or Kagume, they were in the end not very informative. And I didn't know anything except that. But why? Why was it so easy? The answer to this question was becoming more and more obvious. Actually, now that I think about it, right? I actually think it's the KGB that killed my parents. Like, if they was working on intercontinental ballistic missiles for the Japanese, which was an enemy of the Soviet Union back then, right? Well, who do you think would have the most reason to kill them? They were Soviet engineers after all, right? The Americans and Japanese, which they worked for to help them make weapons, or the Soviets, which lost engineers to their enemies? Bro, I think Japanese and I think the Japanese and Americans are trying to keep, or are they? I don't know anymore. This is getting difficult to learn. Okay. I couldn't stay home alone now. If something happens, you know where to find me. Let's call her. And there I was, dialing the cherished number again. It was quite early, but maybe she was at home. After a few beeps, someone eventually responded. Hello? Hi, it's me. Catherine didn't reply. You already back from school? And silence again. What was I trying to achieve by stating facts? I summoned all my courage and said, You said that I would know where to find you. I guess I have. In the park, in an hour. Etcher replied briefly and hung up. Everything seemed to have worked maybe too easily. It seems like everything's starting to go south very quickly. Despite my efforts, I didn't manage to arrive before Catherine. So, yeah, she was already waiting for me there. Her house was much closer to the park. Catch your breath first. She smiled condescendingly and pointed to the bench. We sat down. Not a day passed. Sorry if I distracted you from something important. I always have time for you. Besides, it's clear something happened. When I called Catherine, I hadn't figured out what I was going to tell her. It was just a whim and a lack of other options. I looked at her with a plea in my eyes, as if hoping that she'd guess it all herself and I wouldn't have to lie or worse, tell her everything in detail. Himitsu? Yes, we had a fight. Not that it's the first time, but this time it's serious. You talked to her after everything I told you, although you already knew? Yeah. Unlike Himitsu, I hadn't promised not to lie to Catherine, and she didn't have to know that Ryunosuke-san had told me. My life doesn't change much. That's for sure, but why am I here? I had even less desire to say that I just felt lonely and that Kyosuke wouldn't have made for good company here. Although, even if I had a choice, would I have called someone else? I just don't want to be alone. You get used to it. It's not quick and easy, but eventually you'll get used to it. I caught a yellowish leaf flying in the air and attentively, as if studying it, spun it in her fingers. I have a lot of experience in terms of loneliness. Catch your eye. You're unteachable. What? How many times have I asked you not to call me Katya? But you never meant it. See, that's your problems. You always think everything in life is a game. I don't think anything like that. And even if it is a game, it's not me. It's not one you can win. Although I'm glad you called. Didn't think it would happen so soon. So she didn't doubt I'd call at some point. And I'm glad you finally realized what she is. I replied, nothing and lowered my head in order to avoid looking her in the eye. No, I partially agreed with Catherine's opinion on Himitsu, but there was still nothing I could do. Even if she hadn't known about her father's real job, even if she hadn't wanted to betray me or hide anything, all of this had happened already. And nothing could change the fact that she had been lying to me, even if not for long. I can understand why Himitsu treats you like she does, but you, what has she done to you? Catherine grew embarrassed and immediately tensed up.
Isn't what she's done to you enough? Even if we're not together anymore, it doesn't mean that.
She clicked her tongue and raised her voice even more.
It's a pity that you don't realize it yourself.
But I did. I understood that Himitsu was dedicating herself wholeheartedly to me, yet I couldn't forgive her for a single stupid mistake. Neither could I forget about the skeletons in her closet. If not hers, then her father's. The plates of the scale were swaying back and forth. And then there was Catherine, whose intentions I hadn't understood at all for a while now. Sometimes I felt ashamed for being so spineless. Wait! No! Wait! No! How would her father know that I've been in contact with the KGB unless Himitsu told him? Because the only person I told was Himitsu. And Himitsu was like, oh no, that's scary shit. I think Himitsu was in on it. I think Himitsu might actually have been fucking in on it. And the reason she... Bro. I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore.
You have your circumstances.
You've said as much too.
Maybe I have.
Catherine smiled sadly, torturing the poor leaf.
When?
Winter is coming. You like winter? Thank your surname.
You know, I feel the same about all 4 seasons.
What about Christmas, New Year's? I'd really like to get as a gift from Santa Claus.
A one-way ticket away from here.
One ticket? Catherine tilted her head and her eyes flashed.
Do you want to talk about this now?
What about the destination? Isn't that important? I tried to smooth out the awkwardness.
To the moon.
He wants Bitcoin, says she. Yo, calm down, brother. He was sitting there, talking about nothing. That was exactly what I needed. So you're going to be the first person on the moon? The first... Bro, this isn't 1968 anymore.
Hey!
Catherine gently nudged me in the side. Well, everyone knows Stanley Kubrick faked the Apollo landing. Are you asking
for another Caribbean crisis? This time the missiles will be at your coast.
Knowing the Japanese, I wouldn't be surprised.
This is all bad, isn't it?
Of course it is. I look at you and Himitsu and I see no difference. Borders, nations.
Maybe that's the case in a perfect world, but I would prefer to have no difference somewhere far away from here.
Have you ever read Heinlein?
No, why?
Nothing, I just think you'd like his books.
The whole world really is science fiction, except there's no science in it.
Himitsu had told me almost the same once. I've heard that somewhere before.
Me?
What about you? You don't have any hobbies?
Not for a lack of desire.
He replied, offended by my words. What do you mean?
When you need to move all the time? I never told you. Even in the US we kept moving around the country every couple months. It's like I'm 7 years old and can't be left alone. At least with my grandma.
I didn't know.
Good that you didn't. There's nothing interesting about that.
Catherine stood up and smiled too nicely and gave me a hand.
Let's go. I'm cold.
Where?
I'd like to eat something. You?
Can do. A cafe?
Let's go to your place.
But I have nothing to eat at home. Did we order something? I replied after a short pause. Why all of a sudden?
I'll cook. We just need to drop by a store on the way.
Oh, 2 seconds. I broke my back there. Alright, let's go. Catherine spent a long time meticulously choosing groceries. I would sometimes go shopping with Himitsu and always thought of it as a routine. But now I was in awe. Catherine and I had known each other for a while. But what had we been doing usually? Yeah, that and other dumb stuff that couples in love always do. And even now, little changed. We were fighting and scolding each other, a rather trivial thing to do for two people who had feelings for each other. My relationships with Catherine and with Himitsu were as different from each other as a melodrama about school and love and family and a family sitcom. Besides, mere infatuation isn't enough. A really strong bond is formed through everyday mundane moments. And it seemed as normal to me to do this with Himitsu as felt new with Catherine. However, there was something else. At first, all this daily stuff with a person you love creates a misleading feeling of intimacy. And that's when you start to imagine that you're like a family now. You will never leave each other. Hopefully the other person is of the same opinion. Then any unexpected issues will be unexpected for both of you. However, if that isn't the case, the first problem you run into will become a long-awaited excuse for them. Hattie wanted to take some lettuce, while I had a preference for Chinese cabbage. Did it really matter? In order to avoid any disputes, I relented immediately. But it made me think. It was almost evening when we reached home. I don't mean to imply anything, but isn't this a bit much? I demonstratively raised the bags in my hands that were indeed quite heavy. Luckily, Catherine flatly refused to take my money and paid for everything. I wasn't even sure if I had enough for all that.
Are you unhappy about something?
It just feels like you're going to cook for a whole regiment.
Maybe I am.
He smiled mysteriously and entered the yard. While Catherine was cooking, I sat down in front of the TV and started to think. I could hardly expect Himitsu to visit, but if she did, it would be quite difficult to explain all this to her. This sense of intimacy with Katya was growing stronger, as if that was exactly what she was trying to accomplish. Look, thank you, really. Catherine stopped cooking and looked at me confused. I really need some support right now. And someone close around. I wanted to add, but held myself back.
Happy to help.
No, I'm serious.
Well, so am I.
The dinner was surprisingly delicious. Hamburgers and french fries, homemade. You know, I don't eat this stuff often. Fast food is one thing, but it can't compare to this.
I guess it'll add at least some variety to your menu then.
He was clearly hinting at Himitsu's cooking, but I didn't reply, busy consuming the burger. To be frank, I was quite skeptical when you said you could cook.
What about yesterday's breakfast?
Well, sometimes even pigs fly. Catherine frowned.
That's not nice, you know.
And I thought that it sounded quite like her in the spirits of your recent conversations. Sorry.
Luckily for you, you won't have to eat it all the time. I think Himitsu will soon.
He didn't finish the phrase and suddenly quickly looked at the clock. Late for something?
I need to call my mom.
The question why was on the tip of my tongue, but I restrained myself. Go ahead, you know where the phone is. Catherine talked quietly, and I wasn't really trying to listen. At the moment, I was more concerned with how to act with her going forward.
Sorry that took so long.
It was maybe a couple minutes. No worries. He looked a bit anxious. Is everything alright?
Stupid question. Why do people always ask it? And most importantly, what answer do you expect to hear?
I know what you mean. Gets to me too. Just a habit. I smiled apologetically.
Let me wash the dishes.
He started to hectically collect the dishes. You, handmouth. From the table. Well, okay. I returned to the TV and Catherine started to wash dishes, doing it very slowly, deliberately slowly.
What's on TV?
Eventually she finished and sat next to me, dangerously close. There's some garbage. When Katya was a rather straightforward girl and usually preferred to talk directly rather than trouble herself with hints. I, on the other hand, knew that in such a situation I was fully at her mercy. If she moved any closer, I'll be right back. I stood up and walked out of the kitchen without looking back. If not for Himitsu, how would I be acting right now if we hadn't fought? And what would I have done a week ago or two? Apparently, I wouldn't have had any qualms of conscience. And that was exactly what was stopping me at this moment. What do we really fear the most? To be caught with a lover in bed? Or that our own sense of guilt will always be there, making itself known when we look into the eyes of the person we love? The funniest thing was that I felt guilty towards Himitsu, even though we formally weren't in any kind of relationship.
And now she wasn't talking to me at all!
My dignity rebelled at last. I stopped by to the toilet for show, then immediately returned to the TV. There was some sort of animal show on the screen.
I don't understand anything. Not a word.
Look at that face she has. Katja said merrily, staring at the screen. What do you mean?
Well, they use special terms. Names.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't know them in English either. A little bird with a giant red cap was sitting on a bench looking important. Important? Yeah.
Maybe.
It's quite late already.
For what?
Didn't you go home?
No.
Catherine turned to me and smiled meaningfully.
Are you kicking me out?
It's just at your hints.
I'm not trying to hint at anything. You can make me a bed in this room. I've already warned my mom.
So that's why she was calling her mother. Why did it take me until now to notice that she was in her school uniform? Katja, what is this all about?
I'm just tired and feel too lazy to go home. No more than that, it's just you seeing hidden meanings in everything.
I looked at the clock. It wasn't that late. If this is another game of joke of yours,
if I wanted something, I would have told you.
I guess she was right about that. Well, it's your call. I was lying in bed and couldn't close my eyes, mostly because of the fact that Catherine was sleeping in the other room. Or was she? She could easily come in the middle of the night and lie next to me. It'd get cold, or scared, or lonely. He would find a reason, come up with an excuse, and in the morning I would end up the one to blame anyway. But even more than that, I was terrified by my own desires. I would never call myself a masochist, but in our relationship she was definitely the sadist. The silence of the night felt oppressive. I walked through the house trying to avoid the kitchen and closed all doors from inside. God spare me if Himitsu decided to come in the morning. Having locked and deadbolted all the doors, I finally managed to fall asleep. Himitsu's gonna come in the morning, isn't she? 24th of September, 1987. Damn! I wanna actually continue. I think this is a good place to stop. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's probably true. I think this is a good place to stop. So, I want to say thanks for watching this episode. Remember to like, subscribe, watch my other videos on the channel. Leave a comment telling me how much, what you think is gonna happen, I guess. Or what you hope's gonna happen. Or maybe both. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!